Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another Axel 72 video. And in today's video, it's a real pleasure to be joined from the opposite side of the world, I suppose, to me at the moment, in Vegas, with Blair the Flair Cobbs. Blair, how are we?
Wonderful, wonderful. I feel really, really good. Thank you for having me on the actual 72. It's a great time to be alive, baby. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. I'm so excited to speak to you, just to, hear the energy in which I always see you bring in your videos. And, you know, just to start, before we speak about your career, I did just want to get your thoughts on, what happened last night. I don't know if you were watching the boxing last night, but of course we saw Caleb Plant lose quite shockingly against Resendez, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I didn't really get to watch the fights and everything. I was kind of like just going to sleep, man. It's kind of tired of boxing, right? At the time, and it's like, ah, man, because it was like it was tune-ups.
Mm,
Like let's say just so it's clear that they had an event that were only specifically tune-up fights. They weren't supposed to be fights that were even close, and one of them wasn't. And it was just one of those things where as though it didn't intrigue me at all to have people come out to see these tune-up fights and and not be like rewarding, you
mm.
know. So like yeah, that's what I thought about it. As far as like the Caleb Plant situation, I wish that he had did better.
Mhm.
Um it just I don't know where he goes from here. Maybe he got into the very highest point of his career, which was the Canelo fight,
Mhm.
and then kind of went down since then, and it's just been like just trying to grab money. It's a shame because it was a fight that was supposed to be winnable.
Mhm.
Um but for sure, like Caleb Plant had a harder tune up than Charlo. Charlo
Mhm.
had an incredibly easy tune up and was pretty predictable. But Caleb Plant, he had a tougher opponent, but he's been active. Like he's been active. He's been fighting. He's been not just shelved and put on in the shadows. So he should have been more prepared too for that particular type of fight. And so hopefully he can bounce back from that situation. It's a shame because I don't know whether it puts. See, the thing is, right, with boxing, it's such a business sport that, like, especially right now, honestly, business is robbing the sport and destroying the sport altogether. See, because like when somebody like an underdog that's not supposed to win, does it put that person in a light to move on to bigger and better opportunities? I don't know. Like you're talking, like Charlo would talk about how, like, oh man, that sucks that he lost the fight, but you know what? I still want to make the fight.
Mhm.
It kind of is. We're in a weird situation where, like, if you're an underdog, like the true dream of boxing is kind of losing its edge. Where people that can come from nothing can be something. I don't know where this guy that beat Caleb Plant. I don't even know his name, but he beat Caleb Plant. Does he move on to fight Charlo and get bigger and better opportunities? I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I do agree with you. It is sad to see that they were kind of just dismissing Resendez's win, and Charlo was like you mentioned, just talked about straight away trying to fight Caleb Plant. And I mean, Resendez is in an interim world title spot at the moment due to that win, so arguably you would say he should deserve some sort of opportunity. But also with the fact of Canelo and Crawford fighting for the belts, you doubt that he is going to get any kind of world title opportunity. So yeah, it's difficult, and I mean you sum it up really well there, realistically. And I suppose for yourself, you've just become a free agent. Speaking about the business side of things, and is that kind of a weight off your shoulders. I'm sure you've had to deal with a lot of business issues in your career.
Absolutely, absolutely. Honestly, I'm one of the only and last of that breed of, and like depending on whether I win or not, like or be successful or not, really is going to dictate where boxing goes, because you'll have somebody like me that's actually a star, that's hands down like one of the biggest entertainers in boxing. But if boxing destroys somebody like me, then they don't, that means that you can't start from nothing and become something. It's just, it makes it impossible. Like how can a young athlete have, even if he has all the talent in the world, how can he believe that he can become something? He has to constantly like throw himself in the realms of so many other aspects that it doesn't really matter. Sometimes it's just the name. Like, oh yeah, well this guy, he's such and such son, or he might be an influencer or something like that. Anything can pretty much turn the tides to like that person deserves a better shot, even though you're more dedicated, even though you're an athlete that's real, that's in the sport, that dedicated your life and even brought extra things to the table to make sure that you're um like that special fighter.
Mhm.
But somebody else can take that from you just because there's something else. They're like a YouTuber or a TikToker, or it's weird where boxing is going, because the thing is there's a lot of people that don't respect boxing, and it's because of that. And like you have matchmakers, you have promoters that force the hands of those type of people that don't have any respect for the sport, you know. So I don't know where boxing goes, but it's going to be very interesting. I'm very happy that I broke out of the contract with Don King, but honestly, like I'm going through some of the same things that like this guy that beat Caleb Plant is going through, and it's crazy because I became a name just off of me. I didn't have to do any other extra things to outside of like the like my personality and my persona, and being able to like show up at the fights and cause big upsets. But I do all of this and somehow it's not enough. You know, I beat a Hall of Fame legend that wasn't old. He's not 50 years old. He's not Manny Pacquiao. He's not Manny Pacquiao old. He's the same age as me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I not just only beat him, but I beat him convincingly inside and outside the ring with the promotion. And then you'll have promoters like Eddie Hearn, that is supposed to be the idea of like the promoter that like believes in the true essence of boxing. But he will bring me down, talk down to me when he wanted to get that fight with Conor Benn so bad that he almost tried to give give AB a lap dance. So it's just like I don't know. I don't know where things go when you have these types of things going on, and the business of boxing becomes like the biggest problem.
And I suppose, you have fought, like you've mentioned, some legends and you've been able to cause these big upsets and have these great moments in your career. And do you ever feel like due to this business side, you've just not been able to reach the potential in which you have?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But like I'm still prayed up. I still have faith, um, and it keeps me going. Just my story alone would inspire millions around the world. I like just my existence is better than 99% of fighters, like 10 billion times better than somebody like Devin Haney. Like, you know what I'm saying? Even if he gone to this particular status, Devin Haney would never be a Blair the Flair. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't be able to captivate like the true essence of the human spirit. And that's the problem, that we allow these type of guys be the owners of boxing fans' minds. And that's crazy. You know? Like once upon a time, we marveled at just the idea of Rocky,
Hmm.
you know?
Hmm.
Rocky Balboa. That wasn't even a real person. But just the idea, we marveled at the idea of somebody like that that can come from nothing and be a long shot and and an incredible underdog and then rise to the occasion and like we saw something like that when Manny Pacquiao
Hmm.
became that guy. He was an extreme underdog for like a lot of fights coming up and he won and he put on a big performance, and that we're losing that special it, because it was the underdogs that actually um touched the human spirit when it came to watching these fights. This is the reason why we watch fights. We watch fights because we don't know what's going to happen, and in any given moment a star could be born
Yeah.
that radically changes the dynamics of everything. It's like somebody that was homeless out in the streets, like got into a gym, started boxing, and somehow made it to a world title and disrupt the world with like beating one of the best fighters to ever live in Sugar Ray Leonard.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
come on, like the idea of that,
Hmm.
it was incredible. And
Hmm.
that's what we need to see. We need to keep that dream alive. And that dream is on the hands of like the people's champion, Blair the Flair.
Hmm.
And how far can Blair the Flair go?
Hmm.
Because without it, what do we have? Like it's just like in today's time we have a lot of uh fans that really like they gotten past the idea of a fight just being a fight, and the idea that the underdog has a shot. That like right now, what's a fad? People playing manager
Hmm.
in their mind about one fighter and how that fighter can deceitfully make it to the top without with the least amount of resistance.
Hmm.
Did you ever notice that? Like people like, yeah, well, I wouldn't want him to fight that guy. I want him to like make it to the blah blah, and they don't want to actually see that fighter
Yeah.
like go through the trauma of being a champion, of the trauma of being a legend, like a real like hero.
Hmm.
They don't want to see the ups and downs and the smiles and cries and the rebound from defeat. Like most of these fighters, because of that, they can't afford defeat and they can't bounce back from defeat.
Hmm.
And, like so it's I don't know. I don't know what happened to boxing.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah. No, of course. I understand what you're saying. And I mean, your story, like you've touched upon, is an amazing story to where you've gotten to at this point. And I suppose, do you believe you kind of defied the odds to get to this point in your career?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I don't know how many people, like let's put it like this. I remember there's a guy that came to the gym.
Hmm.
I think he was a like a photographer that like that has goals and ambitions, but he's a small timer.
Hmm.
And he came up to me. He said, "Man, you know what's crazy? How everybody's calling you, because what's it called? Said that everybody wants to call you a 30-year-old prospect."
Hmm.
That's what he said. He's like, man, that's crazy because that's one of the most inspiring thing I've ever fucking heard. It makes me believe that like I could possibly do something. Like no matter what the age is, no matter what happened to me in my past. Like I don't have to be held down by like by like problems and pain and whatever, like let's say accidents
Hmm.
that had happened in my past doesn't have to own me.
Hmm.
That's what he said to me. Like my past doesn't have to own me. And like that's just amazing. Like that, like your story, just your the fact that you even exist and somebody like that could say something like that to you is crazy,
No.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like so like I have to really sometimes I have to really realize that like what I'm doing is bigger than just me.
Hmm.
And like it's because of this that I continue on.
Hmm.
But yeah. So like the business of boxing is tough. Like, you
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
and and like these things that I'm talking about is it all comes goes through with it.
Hmm. And of course, you Blair the Flair. You are a confident character. You bring the flair. You always bring the energy as well. And I suppose, has this confidence, this energy always been inside of you, or is this something which has grown, with your personality in time?
Well, the Blair the Flair character is is the is truly the child within me.
Hmm.
You know, like when we're kids, right? We believe in the ideas that you could be a hero.
Yeah.
We even look forward to the trials and tribulations and the doubt of like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make this, and then somehow overcoming whatever like challenges that has plagued us,
Hmm.
because that's the story of greatness.
Yeah.
And the idea of Blair Flair is everything that it is to be like that child like pureness of your heart.
Hmm.
And that's so like when I dug deep down into like who am I really and why am I fighting, it was all because of this, the child within me that wanted to survive, that wanted to live, that wanted to exist. You know, I'm the neglected kid.
Hmm.
I'm the redheaded stepchild. That's not really accepted by anyone. But now I'm the people's champion.
Hmm.
I speak for the people when these influencers that's basically, you know, talking about boxing and stuff, they want to know what I'm saying. And they want to know what I'm going to say because like I don't hold back. I don't side with anybody on any kind of politics or things like that. I don't play the role of being like, oh yeah, this because of this business, it should be like this. In order for us to keep Golden Boy afloat, we should look to make sure that Virgil Ortiz is that guy, even if he's not the best.
Hmm.
And he probably should never get in the ring with Blair the Flair. So maybe we should like let's just do this. You know, it's one of those things where as though I stand for truth and greatness, and the true child in me is where Blair the Flair comes out. You know, through all the pain.
Hmm. And I mean, you've touched upon, a name there in Virgil Ortiz, and you spoke about how fighters are given opponents that are meant to progress them as quickly as possible, but as best as possible for a world title without always taking these toughest opportunities and toughest other fights. And do you feel like you are one of the most avoided welterweight fighters at the moment?
Yes, yes, I'm one of the most avoided for sure. You know, especially with the ones that like really don't have a whole lot of reasons not to fight me.
Hmm.
You know, it's kind of crazy because like they just want me to keep fighting these small fights with low money, and they want to keep having their exposure without fighting anybody.
Mhm.
Like as of right now, I'm the only fighter in the welterweight division that's fought a name, that's fought a real name.
Mhm.
And like I fought two ex world champions.
Yeah.
Very few, if any, actual like welterweights that we have today even done that. There's
Mhm.
going to be one person, and that's Mario Barrios when he finally fights Manny Pacquiao, which is a 50-year-old man. Well beyond his time.
Mhm.
Well beyond his time, and not only that, like haven't looked good in a long time, and it's. I mean, what his last fight was an exhibition against a kickboxer.
Yeah.
It's and I love Manny Pacquiao. Pacquiao is one of the best fighters in the world I've
Mhm.
ever known. My
Mhm.
favorite fighter. But what he's doing and what boxing is doing is not good for boxing.
Mhm. And
It's
you,
not good for the sport.
yeah, and you've touched upon that fight there. I did kind of want to get your thoughts on it, and I suppose, do you see a road in which Pacquiao is able to go and somehow get an upset win? Would it be an upset win? Would he be coming in as the favorite?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it really matters because like these promoters and matchmakers, they all put things together. They write the story
Mm-hmm.
and it's all just made up. I remember Charlo was talking about like it's all like I forget the word he used, but in one of his interviews recently, he spoke about how it's it's all like already written
Hmm.
by people, not God, and that's the craziest part,
Yeah.
and that stuff only hurts the sport, you know. So I would wager just because hell, like Top Rank already has like their story, like what they want to do. Everybody has already what they want to do to maneuver and put people in positions that they don't belong in, and how they can steal things. Like what they're going to say is like, oh yeah, well Manny Pacquiao is going to beat Mario Barrios, even though he probably shouldn't and
Mm-hmm.
probably wouldn't. And honestly, they probably would rob a Barrios, but they'll say Pacquiao wins against Barrios, relinquish the title, um, and then the title goes up for grabs, and then they put somebody in place of that to be a top ranked fighter, and let the story continue on with the way things have been. That would probably be my guess or how they handle things. Um, like let's say for instance, they have Brian Norman. They're praying that Brian Norman lose so they can have another Japanese fighter as a world champion, even if they don't deserve it.
Hmm.
It's a lot of things going on that has nothing to do with actually what's happening in that ring, and more about like the business behind boxing and politics. You know.
Yeah, it's crazy to see. I'm just a fan from the outside. I don't understand this kind of what's going on behind the scenes, and yeah, it's just hearing what you're saying. It does seem like it's kind of a mess at the moment, like it kind of always has been with the sport. There's always been things that have been going on that the fans don't always know about, but at least with the fights in which you've had in your career, I'm sure that you've been in control. I'm sure you've had certain fights like when you fought Broner, where perhaps they wanted Broner to go on to win or something like that. But you came through as the underdog, you were able to get the win. And I suppose what has been the highlight that of your career?
Um, it's almost like every fight was a highlight of my career. The
Yeah.
first time I got a belt, I was a 16-1 underdog against a
Wow.
guy named Ferdinand Karubian.
Hmm.
Against an undefeated fighter, I fought a guy in a weight class I just moved up to,
Hmm.
and I haven't looked great before that. I moved up in weight to fight this guy, because they told me, look, we're going to release you if you don't accept this fight,
Wow.
and I ended up fighting and I completely annihilated him.
Hmm.
And the crazy backstory is that my trainers quit on me 2 weeks before the fight.
Wow.
2 weeks before the fight, first of all, my trainers didn't believe in me. And 2 weeks before the fight, they just quit after trying to outwork me, just overwork me and make me quit and make me just want to give up the damn fight and pull out. They they just quit. So I was like, all right, forget it. Good. Get out. I'll find somebody else. And I just pointed to anybody in the gym and said, you, let's go. We're going to win this fight.
Hmm.
And I took them and went to my dressing room and everything, getting ready and prepared. And I fought the biggest fight of my life and
Hmm.
won.
Hmm.
That was probably the highlight of like the beginning of my career,
Yeah.
as like who I am, as like the Blair Flair entertainer. While I'm in the dressing room, getting ready for a fight that I'm supposed to be losing, and
Hmm.
everybody thinks that. Beto Duran, which is the he's like the introducer, the spokesman of the fight.
Hmm.
He peeks his head in the dressing room and says, "Hey, you're Blair Flair." I'm like, "Yeah." And he says, "Well, do you do the woo?" I'm like, "Yeah, I could do that." you know. And I'll go back to my childhood, remembering Ric Flair,
Hmm.
remembering all the great things that I used to love, which was all a part of the WWF world, or what they call WWE right now,
Hmm.
and the wrestling world
Hmm.
of entertainment. I was in all of that
Hmm.
as a child. I brought that back out, and after that fight, that's the first time I actually did the woo, and that became something I consistently moved through my career with, and it's been patented as Blair the Flair's woo,
Hmm.
and in the sport of boxing, there's a lot of little things that's happened, um, but they're all part of like the development. But as far as like what would probably be one of the best, that probably be the best. But nobody would know except for DAZN.
Of course.
And DAZN kept putting me on these, like, after that year, DAZN, or at the end of the year, DAZN required that Golden Boy make sure that I'm on these big cards and they don't put me in the back, but
Hmm.
actually put me as one of the top four
Hmm.
fights as a star. If I could be the opening bout or this and that, um, and and that's the only way I even made it,
Hmm.
because Golden Boy always wanted to push the envelope with other fighters that were not stars.
Hmm.
They might have had some like some politics involved, like, oh yeah, well, this guy, he's a Russian fighter.
Hmm.
He's tough, he's rugged, and he's gonna make sure that the Russian people are watching, or the Mexican people are watching. It was always one of those things.
Hmm.
But like an actual true star inspires the human spirit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't give a damn who the hell you are. You're gonna love this guy.
Hmm.
That's what you want. You want a true star. And we don't have that.
No.
We have Canelo
Hmm.
getting chased by Benavidez and not taking the fight. Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
we have weird stuff going on in boxing.
Hmm.
We don't have a Mike Tyson that's courageous, that fight anybody,
Yeah.
or Ali that will fight anybody. We don't have the George Foreman Ali fights anymore. We
Hmm.
have Pacquiao and Mario Barrios.
Yeah, it's crazy. You're summing it up perfectly there, and I suppose you live in Vegas, and your personality is that of an entertainer. Do you feel like Vegas is the perfect destination for you to really let out who you want to be?
Sometimes. I got when I first moved here. I moved here from Philadelphia. There was no opportunities. Nobody wanted to fight me. I like when I first started my career. I had a couple fights, and then I couldn't get a fight for 3 years, so I
Mm.
had to leave. I had to leave. I started my career 4-0 for like 4 or 5 years straight,
Yeah.
like and I had to find my way, and thank goodness once I got here, God has really made a way to make sure that I found some type of way to make it. Even if it was like, okay, we're going to put you on Golden Boys promotion, but you're not the star. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not the star. Well, I can prove it.
Hmm.
And I'm the kind of guy that doesn't mind earning your earning your happiness, earning your fanship. A lot of guys, they just expect it, like Balinga,
Hmm.
like he just expected because he's from New York. I'm like, bro, but you're nobody. You haven't fought anybody. You haven't really inspired anything
Yeah.
at all. And you're just throwing your fucking hypothetical guns in people's heads.
Hmm.
But you're not a star ever. It's a lot of things like that that's happening in
Hmm.
boxing. That's just like what are we watching? like you know. So I don't know. Hopefully, I have a great manager.
Hmm.
I have a great manager in Napa, and we're going to do very big things with Nova Sports. So and I look forward to being over there in the UK and bringing boxing, bringing true entertainment back to UK fans. I'm telling you, that last fight with Chris Eubank and Conor Benn was amazing. I
Yeah.
look forward to fighting one of them, mostly Conor Benn, but Conor Benn was a monster for a 160 pounder. Wow.
Yeah.
I was very impressed.
Mm.
And I don't even know if he'll make 147 again. Who knows? But
Yeah.
those fights were great. Um, Shout out to my manager and my management company that's been doing a very good job and making sure that they put on great fights for the UK fans as well as the world.
Hmm. And I want to leave if you're willing to do this, I want to play a little game of word association. So one word answers to kind of responses to what you kind of think about each of these fighters around your division. Would you be up for it?
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Good. Okay, so we'll start off with Ryan Garcia,
Addict.
Rolly Romero,
Um, Stupid.
Tiafimo,
Racist.
Jaron Ennis,
Huh?
Jaron Ennis,
Stilettos.
damn, Haney,
Coward.
Conor Benn.
Honestly.
Mhm, mhm,
Conor Ben,
mhm.
tough.
Okay, okay.
I have to call it like what it is.
Yeah, like it is. And finally, Terence Crawford.
Great.
Great. Okay, excellent. Well, I really appreciate you doing that. You gave some insightful answers, and yeah, I'll leave with this final question, which I always like to ask, and that is to just, what would you like to say to your supporters, your sponsors, everything like that?
Well, I like to say that Blair the Flair will be back very, very soon. Never fear, Blair the Flair is here. Check me out on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Blair the Flair for more exciting content. Official, BlairTheFlair.com. Woo! Because nobody does it better, baby.
I was so excited to hear that. I really was hoping we could get out this interview. Thank you very much, my friend.
I had to save it for the end.
That made my day. Thank you very much. And yeah, like I said, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. And yeah, best of luck. Can't wait to hear when your next fight gets arranged. And yeah, thank you very much again, man.
Absolutely. What's your name? Alex Harris. Hey,
Yeah,
man,
that's
let's
me.
do it again sometime. All right. Thank you
Yeah,
very much for having me on.
I appreciate it a lot. Thank you again, mate.
All right. All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye, my friend.